Do you know in South Africa we even have Rahima Musa Mother and Child, a hospital just made for mothers and children. Down syndrome babies, first of all, when they come out, they're floppy. It's a baby whose body is like, it's not a, usually when they come out like that.
Hello there, hi, and welcome to Life Lately, the podcast where we explore and dive into real conversations about relationships, parenthood, fashion, even life's problems and challenges. I'm Nozipho, and I'm so excited to go on this journey with you, where I get to share my experiences as well as I have conversations with my amazing guests. So if this is your community where you want to share and be part of a real, authentic conversation, this is your place. Do subscribe. Today, I have with me in my lounge, Dr. Lethabo Mashaba. Okay, so this beautiful, beautiful lady, welcome.
Thank you so much, Nozipho. Thank you so much. I am delighted to actually take time off and come and spend it with you. Outside our rooms.
I know.
Because usually when I see you, we're consulting with the little ones.
Don't even mention.
Yeah.
Okay. But first of all, thank you for taking the time. But Lalela, the first time I met to Dr. Mashaba, you guys, I was, a week, 2 weeks postpartum. Yeah. I was a mess, guys. Okay. No, that was the most tumultuous time of my life.
Yeah. No, okay. I remember that day.
Do you remember?
No, I do. When you walked in, but you know what? I was like, "Oh, beautiful yellow bone. Let's start there."
Guys, postpartum.
And then,
postpartum had me. So backstory, I moved to Johannesburg when I was 8 months, almost 8 months pregnant with Bukosi, and the twins were 11 months.
Yeah.
Wow. They were going to turn a year in Jan.
Yes.
And I moved to Joburg in December.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
And Bukosi was born 1st of Feb.
Yes. Yeah.
So so now I've got like triplets. And me thinking I've got my ish figured because I've had children before. I wasn't ready for this baby. Okay. I was not ready for Bukosi. I've never breastfed one. I've always taken a decision to give my children formula. It's a personal decision.
Yeah.
And Bukosi's born, and I'm thinking, no, this type of formula worked with these ones. It should work with this baby. No,
yes, there was a whole unique person, an individual mommy. Yes.
So I go to this. Okay, and then also I don't have my pid in Johannesburg, right? So I'm calling everywhere. Okay, it wasn't even me that found you, Shem. I don't even take the credit. My husband found you. And he was softened the receptionist and she's like, okay, fine. You guys can bring your baby.
Yeah.
And we got there and we're like, this baby's not feeding. Yeah. He's not feeding right. And this woman is amazing, guys. Like, I'd never met a pediatrician that would share her number. Not only just share her number, but check in and be like, how is it going now? How's it going now? You're just amazing.
You know what, Nozipho, I remember that day when you walked in. I think with me, because I also have 3 children, I just imagined myself being on the other side. And I think, especially as pediatricians, we tend to do 2 worlds. There's the medical world and then there's the mommy world. So for me, I always put myself in the mom's shoes. And I remember you walking in and I'm thinking, look at you now. Wow. You were, postpartum. We grow, we change, we're something else. We've got mood swings, our hormones have changed. But I know you feel like you were a mess, but you actually still had it together.
You think so?
You really had it together. Thanks. I was like, wow, because you asked so many questions. And what I love is, despite the fact that you've had children before, you were still honest. And I feel that that's why we're actually connected and we're able to have a good engagement. And actually help you medically because you were receptive, because you were sharing from an honest place. And for me, the moms that do that, those are the ones I give my cell number to.
Oh, thanks.
So it's not just everyone. And I had no idea that you had such a big media presence, to be honest.
No, then I didn't. I had a
Yeah.
community, but it wasn't until after my
Yeah.
that it grew. But I remember the day when I went to do the barium swallow.
Yes, for when we're
Yeah.
suspecting the reflux. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I remember going home and I said, okay, I've tried this formula. We've bought this for like 500 and something, and it's not working. You said,
Yeah.
give it the night. If it doesn't work,
Yes.
call me in the morning. I'll never forget that morning. I was wearing blue pajamas.
Yes.
Okay.
You remember even the color?
I even took a picture
Yes.
and I was so transparent with my following that day. I literally cried and I wrote this whole page on how I was struggling with postpartum. And when I got your call that morning, you said it's okay.
Yeah.
I don't know how you balance it. I don't even want to say people balance motherhood and their careers, and you do so much, but how are you balancing it all? Because you're a mom yourself, you have this amazing career and other things that you're doing. Like, how do you balance it?
Yeah. So you know what, Nozipho, to be honest with you, I actually heard one of these power women say that there is actually no balance.
Yes.
And this was Dr. Nontobe Kombata. She's just started her own diagnostic lab. And she said to us, she said, she just gave an example that sometimes we want to go to all our children's sporting activities, watch the netball. And sometimes you actually can't, and you just don't. Sometimes you've got reasons you're in the hospital, but sometimes we don't go to those games because we're just tired and we need to rest. So for me, my secret is always be honest and realistic with yourself, and then sit down. I usually do sit down and organize my life. So I might be a doctor on this side. I'm an entrepreneur on this side. I'm a wife. I'm a sister. I'm a mom. So I always do my goals for each, where I say, okay, as a wife for this year, what are the 2 things I want to do for my husband, for my children? What are my big aims? And for me, because I know I'll be in the hospital, so my target is always give them the best holidays. Take them out, give them that 1 week every 2 months or every 3 months where I'm just focusing on quality and not quantity.
Yeah.
So just being realistic. I know a lot of stuff. I host business meetings. I'm sure you've seen some of my profiles. So I know all of this Warren Buffett 25 rules type of a thing. And I just want to put it out there, mommy. Don't concentrate on those 25 things you need to do because you'll never get it done. So what I do is I literally just pick out 5 for each. And then I always say, let's see how far in this 5 I'm going to get. If I get to 1, just do that 1 and finish it. If I do 2, then it's fine. Yeah. But for me, I feel that just being present, like now I'm present with you.
Yeah.
I miss you in my room, but I'm present with you.
That means I don't have any sick children.
Yeah. But, and this is a moment we will cherish this for eternity to come. And our great-grandchildren will watch this podcast.
I know.
And they will see that we were present. And, and that's what I've learned to just treasure. The balance is choose what is more important, prioritize. I do set boundaries. Like, I'm not apologetic. And ever since I've hit the 4th level.
I'm there with you.
Yes, yeah. You know what? I don't have that button of really, I've stopped caring. I really have stopped caring what anybody thinks, what anybody says. It really is what am I doing and what is God? If God says yes, then that's fine. Anybody else can wait. Yes.
You actually said that day,
yes,
God's got you, Nozipho. God won't give you these children. And
yes.
I remember that's why we clicked so much that day. And I was like, she's my doctor. I think I found the one. That was amazing. And this week is Down Syndrome Week.
Right.
But before we delve into that, I just wanted to find out, how did you find your love for children and pediatrics? How did you come to that decision? I'm very curious.
Yeah. So you know what? I didn't have it all figured out from the beginning. I actually wanted to be an ear, nose, and throat surgeon.
Okay.
Yes. I was thinking, no, you know what? Time is a bit regulated, not too many emergencies. And then my second choice was dermatology.
Okay.
But there are some things in life we choose, and then there are some things in life we don't choose. So I was working in Tembisa Hospital there in the government hospitals where you see 100 patients a day. And I was actually working in the pediatric department. And I used to just push somehow with the children and the babies. It came easy. And it's actually my senior then, Dr. Panyani, who started saying, you have a thing for babies. And I said, no,
Oh,
no, not peds.
Don't even think about
Because I was thinking of the hours.
Mm.
In peds, you don't knock off. 2, 3 in the morning, you could be on the road to save a life because they get born at any time. They go into colic and reflux at any time. And, she actually was the first person. I actually got an award that year for best intern in peds. And that was the beginning of it all. Every hospital I went to, I would get called into the peds department.
Oh my God.
Even to specialize with peds, it was almost like a God intervention moment where registrars even went to the profs and said, she must do pediatrics. So really, I believe it's a calling. And when I actually started doing it and specializing in it, that's where the love developed. So it wasn't love at first sight. It literally came the yes, and now I love it.
Calling.
I love it. I've been a doctor now for almost 19 years. I don't have to be working at night, but I do. For the babies, I still come out at 2, 3 in the morning and I do intensive care. I grow premature babies. I do it all. I put tubes down their throat when I'm ventilating them. And then I love in the rooms, you've seen even on my Instagram page, I love high-fiving them. And I'm not supposed to, but some I go to their parties. It's unprofessional. And
Bound.
yes, bound. But I choose. I pick and
Yeah.
choose. Yes, yeah. But you know what? Yeah, and I think for me that's a highlight. Sometimes we want things because we think we want them, but life comes and says, "Hello, Nana, just wait there. No, that's not your route." And God says, "This way," And I think that's where we struggle. But if we just continue where we're supposed to be, somehow it just works out.
Yeah.
And now it's come all together.
It's all come together. Kuyabonakala, you are literally, you just at peace. You are, everything is working out. I follow you. I love your journey. I love everything you do. Uyabonakala ukuthi wenza into oyithandayo, and you're making such a huge difference. I appreciate you. I mean, I've had it all from a child born prematurely. My firstborn, 7 months, born prematurely. Born at 7 months. I think I've had all the categories of children, and with the twins, I got to have I'll call it a blessing. Ngabusiseka ukuthi I was able to take ama tests when I was pregnant with them. So when I was pregnant with the twins, we did something called the NIPT, non-invasive prenatal,
which they do in the second trimester usually. Yes, yeah.
And for me, that's when I fell in love with reading so much about all the other diseases, if I could call it that, conditions that affect izingane from the time they're in their tummies, and how doctors play such a huge role in actually not just ukuthi uyalapha ukuthi I want to listen to the heartbeat, but they're looking at so many things. And I remember also part of the pregnancy, we had to go see a specialist, a fetal specialist, who had a look at other things. So that's when I had such a huge respect for doctors and everything that they do. But when I was doing the NIPT and reading on it, I came across the reason why it was done and testing Down syndrome. Yeah. And for me, that's when my heart was just like, wow.
Yes. And even with the gynaes, a lot of the moms are under the impression that you wait for that test. It's very important that they actually consult in the first trimester, just after they found out that they're pregnant. And I've seen in South Africa, there's a lack of awareness of that. And by the time that test is being done, you know what they do? They do basic things. When they're using that ultrasound, when they are putting gel on our stomach and rubbing on it, they actually just look at the nuchal at the back. There's a nuchal lucency that they look at. It's called, it's just a fold at the back. If that fold measures a certain amount, they can already even diagnose Down syndrome at that. And then they look at the nose bridge as well. So I find that it's good. And, with pregnancy, I'm sure you were stressed as well, like all of us. Every time they're saying, no, we're going to do a test, just know that there's something that they've seen. And even though as a mom, you might not be medically inclined or a medical professional, as soon as they talk about a test, there's a sixth sense in you that says,
something's wrong.
What's happening here? And so I just want to also just bring that awareness that I know a lot of people cannot afford gynecologists. But if you can, you won't believe how many moms stay with just non-specialized doctors, which is okay for other things. But when it comes to pregnancy, if you have affordability, please get a gynecologist. And what's nice in South Africa, actually, we have a lot of clinics, public clinics.
Don't speak about clinics.
Hey,
My mom used to call me Umazulan
hey,
because when
wasula sula.
this thing, I've always been on my parents' medical aid.
Yeah.
I was very lucky, but
Yeah.
I had a gynae seeing me throughout my Bush's pregnancy. My son, who's almost 15 now.
Yeah.
And I would see my gynae, but also I used to love going to the government clinics. My sister and I gave birth on the same day.
Yeah. Yes, yeah.
I loved it. I went to both. And then before my husband got married, he would send money for the doctor. And I'm like, gay clinic. But still, I was on my parents' medical aid. But the clinics, they do an amazing job.
They do. And what people don't know is in every suburb, there's actually a government clinic and they pass it, not realizing that it's actually government, because sometimes that's how much the mothers and babies once look. Do you know in South Africa, we even have Rahima Musa Mother and Child, a hospital just made for mothers and children. So even if whether you have money or no money in South Africa, in your pregnancy, you get taken care of. Even the babies get immunization afterwards. Yeah. So you know what? I know we like to downplay ourselves as a country, but we're actually doing well in health. And I see that a lot when I travel. Because sometimes I get to work in other countries and I've realized that, wow, we actually have a world, a country of milk and honey. Everything flows here. You know, we have our own issues, but I can tell you when it comes to diagnosing Down syndrome or any other genetic disorder or what we call congenital deformities, you know, abanye, they are more severe than the Down syndromes where the babies are deformed. But yeah, you can get a diagnosis even just on an ultrasound. Yeah.
Okay. So I know that when moms go to deliver, well, I only have reference of a C-section. I've never had a normal birth.
Yeah.
I know that my gynae as well as my pediatrician have to be in the room.
Yes, yeah.
So a reason why I had to find you after Bukoso was born, because my pediatrician that I used at birth doesn't do room consultations. So that's why I was left stranded. But he was an amazing doctor.
Anyway, I know who you're talking about, and he's amazing.
So anyway, I know, Uti, you know, you guys are the first contact when the baby is pulled out, the first contact other than the dad or, you know, whoever's there cutting the umbilical cord. You are the first contact. They took, I remember they took one of the twins, one of them was turning blue for me.
Yes.
And the first contact for my daughter when the twins were born was the pediatrician.
Yes.
And I saw how calm she was. And the whole time I'm laying there and my husband is just keeping an eye, not the one, because she was the twin that came out first.
Yeah. And
while they trying to figure out what was going on, I didn't see they pulling out the other one.
Yeah.
And the whole time I'm like, why is this one not paying attention to this? What's happening now? And his eyes the whole time were with the pediatrician. I think that's when you guys get to now examine and see. So you get to see this child and you see, oh my God, there's Down syndrome here.
And it's so fun. Like, I mean, with experience, I can look and say down or not, Downsy or not. Yes. So what we see is usually when they give us, you know how we do that APGAR score, where we say 1 minute, 5 minutes. We're trying to see, is the baby breathing? How are they moving their hands, their legs? Down syndrome babies, first of all, when they come out, they're floppy. It's a baby whose body is like, it's not usually when they come out like that. So usually it's a bit of a floppy baby. And then when they come out, we examine them and their features that we see, most of them look a little bit shorter than usual. They have a very flat nasal bridge. And what happens is their eyes actually shape up. We call them up-slanting palpebral features. Don't worry about the medical stuff. Their eyes look up. They have short ears. They actually have short, stubby fingers. And some of them can have one line on their hands.
Okay.
And then what I always look, which always catches my eye, is the sandal gap. Between the big toe and this toe, there's like a big gap, unlike a normal child.
Okay.
Yeah, and then, I mean, other deformities that they have, we will then examine, obviously, from head to toe, looking at those features. But always the heart. They can get a heart that's not formed normally. We call it an AVSD. Don't worry about medical terms again. It means that they do have like valvular connection issues and flow issues. But what we do, we just listen and we look for what is called a murmur, a sound that you can hear in the heart. And then we know that will involve the cardiologist to check the heart. And then when we go down to their stomach, they get like, it's called anterior abdominal wall defects. So they can have like issues there where they even have like a bigger umbilical hernia, or a lot of issues like where the stomach did not come together, and the surgeon will actually get involved in pushing back some of their intestines and everything inside, and perform operations. So they do get a lot thyroid issues as well that they have. So now already you can imagine, as a pediatrician, imagine especially if it's a mom delivering a second time baby that I know, I'm examining already with this in the back of my mind. I mean, medically, I'm going ding, 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 ding. But these are all the things that I will now have to communicate back to the parents.
This is what I'm
And I can tell you, some of the dads, they might not be, I mean, there are different types of Down syndromes. The mosaic one is where it's not, the features are not too much. But then your normal ones, which we call the trisomy 21, which we'll go into when we say how actually does this happen, they have, those features are so obvious.
evident.
And I usually see it when I know Nozipho, they actually do that, you know.
Sure.
And by the time we're walking, they'll be like, doc, because sometimes usually we then have to take them to our intensive care because some of them have breathing issues. So we connect them on the ventilator, we get them comfortable, we call our cardiologist, come check the heart. Every specialty, if needed, must check the system before we even talk about feeding. So now, Baba Kona, and you know the conversation that we had, and I'm going to steal this one for you because you, you know, Baba Kona, two things. One will be saying, hi, doc, in my family, we don't have babies that look like this.
Yes.
That's the first thing they'll say. And then they'll say, and then shocking, wait for this one. Can I get a paternity test?
Oh my God.
So now we are walking. I'm still taking this baby to ICU. And now, but I like that because we usually go with the dads, because if mom has had a Caesar, if it's a natural birth, obviously it's different. The conversation will happen outside. So now I'm already picking up, wow, we've got medical, biological issues. But now we've got psychosocial issues now, because this mom, we are going to have to deal with all of this. And I can tell you, the moment after that, you have to go and relay the diagnosis. So with me, I never give the diagnosis to the dad. I take the dad and the mom and I sit them down and I say, are you, because we have to, they call it, you have to fire a warning shot. It's literally calling a shot to say, mama, umntwana, we are suspecting une Down syndrome.
Yes.
And abaningi, they know. They already know. But some will say, eh? And the reason abaningi know is because most of them are coming through the gynecologist and they've done antenatal classes. And these days, even if you haven't done antenatal classes, you are watching YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, you know. So then as soon as you say that, you can see you've just shattered their world. Some go into denial. No, never. Not in my house, not in my family. Doc, it cannot be. And then some of them will say, okay, what does it mean? Then you educate them. And then, Nati, don't forget, we also do our own test. So what we'll do then, we do a blood test.
Okay.
And then we call it a PCR aneuploidy. Don't worry about the big names again. We just take the blood. We send it to the geneticists.
Yes.
The lab will do that.
Yes.
And then what they do is then they call it, they just look for on the triosome. So when it comes to this Down syndrome, just to educate a little bit, it's when there's almost like an accumulation of extra genetic material that is not supposed to be there. And it's usually, you know, we've got 46 chromosomes.
Yes.
It's usually on one that is called
21.
And that's where trisomy 21. So it's an extra copy. So where there's supposed to be 2, there's now 3. So meaning that's why all the features, as they develop, all of those things start forming. But one thing that you actually usually have to prepare the parents from the beginning is that these children will have developmental delay, neurobrain developmental delay, and intellectual disability. And for me, I think despite those features, that is something that just shatters the parents. Because now it's like, I'm telling you, your baby's going to be slow.
Yes.
And that's where us who grew up in the rural villages, sometimes you get these undiagnosed babies because bazothi, "Hayi, umntwana lo uslow.
Yeah, we're slow learner.
He's slow learner. Nobody's looking at the features. Hayi, and ungathi ufani, akekho cute, you know." And that is where now I really applaud you for coming out and just let's talk about it.
Let's talk about these things.
Let's talk about it. There's no use hiding it. And in some places, not even in rural places, here some of my moms, I've had to teach them to bring up these babies. They will go, and it's the baby who stays with the nanny, who stays most of the time with the nanny in the house. The baby doesn't get taken out, does not get introduced to the family and the community. Abantu mabangena endlini, they just end up thinking that no, there's only 2 babies in this house.
Yeah. Now listen,
Yeah.
I feel like as a community, we need to have a support system,
Yeah.
a structure where we are all supporting one another, because caring for a child, ama challenges on its own is a lot.
Yes.
I can't imagine the load on this family, or
yes,
when you have a child that with extra need, that needs extra care. So I wanted to bring awareness, because I after doing IVF, I read a lot, and a lot of things came, and
yes.
I have a very curious mind, and I would always once I click onto something. And also I one of my children didn't go through the normal what do you call it, the normal schooling route. So I know what it's like to have a child that has learning difficulties, and so I had to adapt a very thick skin, but also be saying to myself, this child is not going to be different from the other ones.
Yes, wow.
He's not different.
Wow, yeah.
And I need to support him in a way that he's able to function in a society where I'm not around.
Yes.
And help him to be a happy child.
Yeah.
So when big words like auditory processing were mentioned to me, I was like, okay, I'm going to learn this.
Yeah.
I read a lot, and I feel like we need awarenesses like this.
Yeah, no, we do. Yeah.
So I'm really grateful for you for coming on here and taking your time. I know you're so busy, to just bring awareness this week. It's Down syndrome awareness, it's World Down Syndrome Awareness this week on the 21st of March. And we just want to say that this is a community where we can speak. I will put Dr. Mashaba's contact details below, her website, her page, just for information, as well as be part of the comments on the comment section below. You might find another mom in here that is struggling like you, that is having a hard time accepting, a hard time navigating this life that changed, sometimes not planned, so it's okay. You have a healthy, beautiful child.
Yes. Yeah. And also on my side, I just want to say, come to us. We will walk the journey with you. It is a lifelong journey. I have seen some of my moms who got a shock, like any diagnosis. But with the support, and in South Africa, we do have, we've got a lot of foundations that support this side of things. There's government initiatives. So we plug you into those things, and then don't forget 21 March, we wear different colors.
Yes, what's blue and yellow.
So blue and yellow, yeah.
Oh.
And then, but we actually go wild with it now.
Oh, okay.
We wear stripes on this side, that side. And it's again, just to create awareness. And I actually had one of my Down syndrome moms who came yesterday. And you know what? She just said to me, she said, when I first met you, I thought my life had ended. This was baby number 8.
Stop.
And she lives in Indonesia. And then she said to me, she said, you know what, Doc, I actually want to start a support group for moms, because this child is the most beautiful child, the most loving child. And that's one thing that I love about Down syndrome babies. They are lovey, touchy, most of them, unless they've got other neurological issues. They love to hug. They like to laugh. They're actually very warm babies. And she said, I can't believe that I was actually having dark thoughts about my baby. And now the fact that I've walked this journey with you, I'm actually ready now to support other moms.
There you have it.
So we mustn't be afraid. We, like you took the bull by its horn. Baba Musadi Utsava. Tipako Buhali.
What does that mean? I need to learn. Is that Tswana or?
So it can be Tswana or Sotho.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it means that a woman takes the knife by its tip when it's coming. You have to. It's coming. It's not like you called it. When it's coming, that's what happens. And I can tell you, moms, I just want to encourage you with that you know what, it doesn't matter what diagnosis you have. Yes, have your moment, break down, cry. It's normal. Vent. And you will cry again. You will cry again. But what you do is come get the medical facts, get the medical treatment, because if we empower you and we treat your baby, like we know, for example, when to check for the thyroid.
Yes.
We know, for example, sometimes they also get like gluten issues where they've got celiac disease,
Oh.
where they are actually quite sensitive to the gluten that they're eating.
Oh my
So if you just continue giving them certain
You won't
foods,
know.
you won't know. And then they become irritable and upset
And you
aggressive.
get irritable.
Yes.
Yeah, and you get irritable.
Yeah, yeah. So if they can just come to us, we'll walk the journey with them. Whether you have medical aid or not, we will send you to the right, to the right places. Yes.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you, Dr. Mashaba.
Oh, thank you, Nozipho.
Thank you for coming to my lounge and having these real, authentic conversations with me. If this is your community, if you found your gang, we are here. Subscribe. Do hit the notification button so that you don't miss our next episode next week. And then please do become part of the conversation. Write your comments down below. I will be posting Dr. Mashaba's information as well as other support groups that you can be able to reach out if you are or know somebody that is affected with DS. Thank you so much for watching. Keep well.
Thank you. Thanks.